Hey guys, Jaybird here, and we're going to be doing another tutorial in APE today, and this is going to be covering model porting. So this is kind of continuing off of our textures that we did, as well as the tutorial I did on setting up export to bin. So if you haven't already, I suggest you watch the tutorial. I'll go over it again, but basically we're going to have you guys already have set that up. So I'll have a link in the description for the export to bin tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to go over today is two programs called Lime and Lime64. So basically these will be programs that we'll use to rip models out of previous Call of Duty games. You pick whichever one is required for the games. We'll go over that later. Right after that, we'll go over how to convert the export or the XModel export files into XModel bins using the tutorial that we did last day. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just the setup in APE for the models. Alright guys, let's jump in it. Alright guys, so I'm going to just kind of explain what's going on here. So right now I have Black Ops 1 open. So here's the thing, if you want to export a model from a Call of Duty game, you kind of have to choose between Lime or Lime64 depending on which game you're going to be exporting from. If you're exporting from anything that is before Call of Duty Ghost, you're going to be using Lime. So that includes Call of Duty Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. So that's all the things that Lime will export from. If you're going to be doing Ghosts or Advanced Warfare, then you want to use Lime64. Keep in mind though, Lime64 is buggy and I'm not sure, but I think it might be broken at this period where you might not be able to rip models from Ghosts or Advanced Warfare, but don't hold that against me. But for now, we're going to be exporting from Black Ops 1 because that's just what I have open right now. So I'm just going to really quickly go over. Once you've downloaded Lime, what you'll come up with is a folder similar to this. You might have some missing files or folders in here, but basically you just want to open up the exe. Keep in mind, you have to have the game running for this to work. So have your game running, just pause the game or whatever, and then Lime will automatically find the game. So you can see it's found Black Ops 1 there, and then I can just click on list models right here. So it's just going to find all the X models, and then once it's found them, you want to load the models. So it's going to just go in and try to load all the models. Some of them have difficulty loading, so you have to walk around the map and you have to do track placeholder swaps. So it'll start tracking, and then I can just kind of walk around, do things in the game that might be loaded later in script or something. So then that way, once it's loaded, you can come back to Lime and you can just close this down and hit stop. Alright, so now let's say that I wanted to go and rip a model. Let's just kind of go through and just pick a random model here. I'm not going to be porting any guns. Let's port over a lever, whatever this is. So what I'm going to do is you can do a few things here. So you can export all. That'll take a very long time because it's got to go through every single model. Or you can select the drop down here. So what we're going to need here is you don't need the OBJ file or the SMD, and you don't need a GDT file because we're going to have to create up our own because this was set up for World at War modding, and that's not going to work in Black Ops 3. So the main thing that you're going to need is rather the .ma file, which is for Maya, or the XModel export file. The only thing is, if you're doing weapons, don't use XModel export files because it's going to mess up the joints. Anything that involves joints, if you're just doing a static model that you want to put in your map, you can use this one, but I'm going to be basing it off of the Maya tutorial for now, okay? But this will get you right to XModel export. This one's going to get you to Maya. So I'm going to export selected, and you'll see it says exported, and it popped up here. So if you click on that, it can actually bring you right to the folder, but it's going to be in your Lime exported, and then we'll have this folder here. So right away you have an images folder, and you can see they're in DDS format, so we're going to have to convert those. This one's actually in a TGA format, but it might also, depending on your settings, you can set it up so that it exports the textures in different ways, and basically you can play around with the settings in here, but we're going to the Maya ASCII format, so just make sure your settings are kind of similar to this, and that should be good. So then now that we've got our model, we can actually close out of the game, and we can close out of Lime, so that step is done. So we're going to be going over the actual Maya portion of this. So this is assuming that you've already got your plugins downloaded. I'm going to have a link in the description for Tom's plugins as well as Aiden's plugins that I use on Maya. And you guys can kind of just look up how to install those on your own. It's pretty basic. Just kind of put them in they actually have installation README files that you can just follow through on how to do that. But once Maya's open, then we'll jump into that. We're also going to need to convert our images, like I said. So basically, now that we have our .ma file, we're going to convert it into an XModel export. I know we have one here that it ported out, but like I said before, if it has joints, it's probably going to mess that up. But the fact that there's no bind file means that there's no joints. So if you were doing a weapon, then what would end up happening is you would have in this folder, you have your .ma, you would also have a .mel, so a .mel file. And if you do have that mel file, what you're going to want to do is drag it on, and that will bind the mesh to the joints here. So I just clicked on this little button on the side. I'm just bringing up this little panel here. I think, I'm trying to remember what it's called, Outliner? Yeah, it's called the Outliner. So if you can't get it to open up from here, from clicking here, you can go Windows Outliner and it'll pop it out on its own window. So yeah, when I did that, when I was just telling you about if you have joints that are going to bind to, then basically you just drag the bind file on, which is the .mel file, and that will join these to the joints. Although this joint is just one basic one, so it doesn't really matter. So Tom has graciously done a lot of the stuff for the exporting, so you don't have to play too much around in Maya. We're actually done. All we have to do is export. So the thing is, Tom's tools are mainly for weapon related stuff. In the Call of Duty tools, this is the ones that are found from Aiden's tools. So this is Aiden's tools plugin that I have up here right now. So once you have that installed and you have your plugins under Windows, Settings and Preferences, Plugin Manager, you just want to make sure that you have your plugins. So this is Tom's one loaded. And then there's also another one somewhere for Aiden's. Somewhere loaded. Oh, I think his is loaded somewhere else actually, instead of in the plugins. But anyways, what you're going to want to do is go to Call of Duty Tools, Export XModel, and then we're going to want to select a location for this. So we'll just put it right back to where it was, and we'll call this PZTEM lever. And then we're going to select all of this. So I'm just selecting here, holding shift and selecting all that. If you want to do this even quicker and you have like, oh, it's got like a whole bunch of joints and you have to select through them all, what you can do is select this one and select this one and then go select hierarchy, and that will select everything underneath that. So however you want to do that, as long as you have this all selected, then you're going to just want to go to export selection. You can save changes if you want. I'm not going to really care, so I'm going to hit no. And then now if we go back to our folder, we have our PZTEM lever.xmodel export. We also have the other XModel export here, but that's not a big deal. Alright, so we're going to be moving on to the next portion. This is the export to bin portion of the tutorial. So for this, I would hope that you've already watched the export to bin setup tutorial that I did a couple days ago. If you've already done that, then great, we can jump right into this. So if we want to convert all the XModel exports in this folder to XModel bins, what we're going to want to do is open up the command prompt window. And you can do that by going down here and just kind of typing in command prompt. But if you want it to open directly to this directory, what we can do is hold shift, right click, make sure you have nothing selected, and go open command window here. So now you'll notice it went all the way to the directory that we're in right here. So what you're going to want to do is, now that you've had your export to bin setup done, you want to type in export to and then bin, so the number 2, so export to bin, space, and then an asterisk, which is shift 8. And then just hit enter. You'll notice it does a blank line, and then if you look in the folder here, we can actually close the command window here. We have an XModel bin here, and it converted this one as well, but we're going to be using this one. So there we go. That's our model converted to XModel bin. So what you're going to want to do is open up your root directory for Black Ops 3. If you don't know how to get to there, what you can do is just right click on one of your maps, on your map specifically, and go show zone folder. That will open you up to basically where the root folder is, but in your map, so you can just go back to the Black Ops 3 directory there. So then you're going to want to go to model export. So now this is basically where we're going to be placing our files that we just got. So in here, you can kind of create your own folder as long as it's in model export. So we'll just call this Lime, so that we know it's models that we ported over from Lime. So we're going to put in our xmodel bin. We're also going to create an images folder in here. And in the images folder, we're going to want to place these. The only thing is, our images are in DDS and also TGA. So what we're going to want to do is use a program such as GIMP, Photoshop, Paint.net, whatever you prefer. I'll put in the description for GIMP on how to do this, so you can download GIMP. But basically, you just want to drag a file on. I like to unselect maps when it pops up. I also like to remove the alpha channel if it does have one, unless it's an alpha image that you're dealing with, like glass or foliage or something like that. Then you're going to want to go File, Export As, and then we're going to want to change this to .tiff. So we'll just hit Export, and I'm going to go Compression None, and then I'm just going to close this down, and you'll notice we have our TIFF file here, so I'm just going to drag that over into here. So that's one. So we'll just really quickly go through these, and I'll just do exactly what I did last time, remove the alpha channel, and then I'm going to convert this to a TIFF. I'm going to close this, we'll drag the TIFF one over. These are actually specular maps, so you'll notice that there's actually an alpha channel. You can see the checkerboard behind that. I'm not too worried about doing that. I'm just doing a basic tutorial today, so I'll just focus on trying to get... Oh, okay, so this is our normal map actually. So there's another program I'll probably link down in the description as well. It's actually something that was a tutorial done on UGX. I forget who did it. I'll try to remember to add the credits to them down in the description below. But basically, this will allow you to convert the normal maps over properly, because you'll notice the normal map is in this weird format right now. So if you take your normal map and throw it through this program, you can set it up to be a DAO. If it's this weird format that was in before, you can hit OK, save, and then you can just save that to wherever. So we're going to go back into Lime, exported, images, and we're going to do TIFF, but the thing is it's going to do .tiff, we want TIFF, so we'll go and just kind of copy the name of this thing and call it TIFF. So there we go, we got our TIFF normal map there, and we're going to drag that over. So that is done. So this is program's called Normal Map DI or DA Format Converter. So this was it's kind of interesting. It's used for Dragon Age Origins, but you know, it works for this too. So that's it for the images. We got our model, we got our images. We can close this all down, and then we're going to want to jump into APE. So once this loads, we're going to be on the last part of our tutorial now, which is to set up an APE. And for this, basically what we're going to be doing is setting up the game so that it knows that this is the model and that these are the images that this model uses, and then how to apply them to them. And then that way, when you drag the model into game, it's textured and it looks nice. So it kind of looks like we got two sort of textures here. I still have Maya open here, because what I can do is I can go to, where is it? Actually, you know what? I think Asset Property Editor does this for us now, so we don't need to check anything. So I'm going to create a new GET, and I'm just going to call this one Line. And in here, I'm going to create a new asset, and in the asset type, I'm going to select an X model, and we're going to call this, what was our model called? PZTEM lever. Okay, so right away we get this blank box because we're missing the model. So what you're going to want to do is in the first LOD 0, you're going to want to go and find that model. So Lime, and then the model. So there we go, the model's in there. It doesn't have the textures applied yet. It's got a default texture on it. If you want to add more LODs, you can do that. I believe you just have to, where is it? It should be, yeah, number of LODs. So you can just select how many you want, and it should add another LOD if you want to add one in. But we're going to go back down to 1. So an LOD is basically a load draw distance, basically. It's probably load object draw or load object distance. But basically, 0 is going to be your high poly model. And as it keeps going to further distances, you want a lower poly model of the same thing. That's up to you if you want to do that. I'm not going to be showing how to do that in this tutorial. But basically, what we're going to want to do is come down to where it says materials, and we can see we have 2 materials here. One of them is going to be the trim, and the other one was that red texture. They both seem to use the same normal map, so we're going to set that up the same way. So what we're going to do is just click on this, and it'll create a new material, and we're going to hit OK. So you'll notice under our GDT it created the new material here, and we're going to set this up as a lit texture. If you want to go more advanced with the textures, I suggest you watch my texture tutorial. I went over a few different types of textures you can do here. This is a metal though, we're going to be doing metal textures. Although it's not going to be doing the geometry advanced like I did in that because I don't have a metallic map. So what I'm going to do here is create a new image. This is for the color map. So this is what the color of the model looks like. So we're going to select the one that wasn't red. So we'll go back to our model export, Lime, images, and not the red one. We're going to select this rusty one. So now if I go back to the material, you can see we have this here, but we're going to want to add in our normal map. So why don't we go and hit new image, OK, and we'll find the normal map, model, or model export, Lime, images, and then our normal map. So now it should have a bit of bumps and grooves on it, and then we're going to want to create this material as well, the red one. So we'll hit OK, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to a lit texture, and then we're going to change, don't forget to change the settings at the top here, because if you have this set to error and you compile it, you're going to get an error. So keep in mind you have to change this. If you don't want it to have a surface type, select none. But yeah, select whatever ones you feel fit the model. A lot of this stuff you can leave blank. This is stuff left over from campaign. This stuff you don't need to worry about. This is special properties for your material. You can kind of read through and see what they would do. They're kind of self-explanatory, a lot of them, but we don't need to worry about that for our model. Climbing, I believe, is something to do with, yeah, if it can be climbed on or whatnot. But anyways, we're going to be going and setting up the color map. So this is the red one this time. So we'll go model export, Lime, images, the red one, and then if we go back to this material here, since they're sharing the same normal map, we're going to go BO1, and you'll see it popped up with the other normal map, so we can just do that really quickly. I'm just going to Control S to save everything, and you'll see if I go back to the model, we have our model now, and it's textured. So there we go, guys. If you go in game and you try to look for this model, it will be in there. There's no model converting like there was in World at War or COD 4. You just have to link everything up in APE and you're done. Alright guys, that covers everything for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.